Welcome to the closing ceremony for the 2018 Sturgeon City Institutes. To the parents, we are privileged to have been trusted with your students this week. And to their friends and families, you should be inspired by the intensity of learning, the meaningfulness of their work, and the understanding that they will take away from these institutes. Today we are having the closing ceremonies for our Public Safety Institute, our New Generation Leaders, our Art Institute, and our Science Academy. I'm Paula Farnell. I'm the director for the Sturgeon City nonprofit and the director for these institute programs. I'd also like to recognize Dr. Don Herring, who's the chairman of the board of directors for the Sturgeon City nonprofit, and Mr. Glenn Hargett, the assistant city manager with the city of Jacksonville, as our additional leadership team. I'm proud to be part of these Sturgeon City Institutes every year, and I'm proud of the partnerships that have created these institute programs, which are operated by the Sturgeon City nonprofit, with the support of the city of Jacksonville, who partners with the Onslow County School Board in presenting these programs. Earlier this morning, we recognized and gave the title of Fellow to the students who completed the Science Institute. The Science Institute is for rising freshmen, and if any of you know of someone that might be interested in this program for the coming year, please visit our website, sturgeoncity.org, to look for more information on the program for the coming summer. This year marks the 20th edition of the Sturgeon City Institutes. So this has been a special program for all of your students to take part in this year as we share in our 20th year. And to the members of the New Generation Leaders, we encourage you to use your skills to help improve leadership and lead in this community. To the members of the Public Safety Institute, we know you have gained impressive knowledge about the work of the police as well as fire and emergency services in this community. To the members of the Science Academy, we say we are impressed with your work this week, as well as you go forward in your search for learning. And to the members of the Art Institute, we urge you to continue to be inspired by the environment and by our community as you go forward in your art endeavors. And to all participants, we say, you are to be congratulated for your work, and we encourage you to continue to be involved with our programs and to participate in projects and other volunteer opportunities in this community and other things that we have going on this summer and throughout the year. We're all here as the result of a vision, Sturgeon City. Some of you may know our story, some of you may have heard this in past years, but it was a vision that Jacksonville can be a better place, a continuing vision that Jacksonville can be a better place, and a commitment by the elected leaders of this city and by many community members to step forward and to continue to teach young people about how to return our community to a place of pride. And for 40 years, the city of Jacksonville and others discharged their wastewater into the New River. And in 1995, when some 23 million gallons of hog waste spilled into the river, many scientists and others spoke out, anticipating that there would be a large event, some type of devastation in the rivers and our waterways. And that wasn't what happened, because everything was already so degraded that there was nothing left to have happen. And so that served as a wake-up call to our community and to our city leaders and officials that something needed to change. We wanted to bring our river back. This is a coastal community, a riverfront community. We take pride in our water recreation and fishing and being able to have access to these waterways and in the wildlife that they support. And so fortunately, the city leaders had already been planning, had already had the work in place to be willing and able to open an environmentally friendly land application wastewater treatment plant, where actually they used the treated wastewater to be able to grow pine trees. And so that plant was able to open completely in 1998, during which time they were able to close the Wilson Bay wastewater treatment plant. And the words moral obligation were used as city officials and community members met and determined what to do with the site that was left by this closed plant. And it was decided that the Wilson Bay Initiative would be formed, which was a multifaceted approach to being able to clean up the water that had been degraded and restore the life back to it and be able to move on from those opportunities and learn from our past mistakes. This combined the use of oysters, aeration units, restored wetlands, and stormwater mitigation to be able to actually bring life back to the bay and to the river. And it was proven that this was a success, as during the first Sturgeon City Institute 20 years ago, one student actually found the first signs of life back in the bay. And so now the City Council and the Sturgeon City nonprofit have worked together to commit to making the Sturgeon City Environmental Education Center a tangible connection to our stewardship of the New River. This building is now becoming a reality. Such is the stewardship and connection that brings Sturgeon City and our community together that for many years, the actions degraded our river, but now we are able to work together and to learn from our past mistakes so that they will not be repeated, and able to work on educating students like these, our future generations, to be community leaders and to learn from where we've come from and wherever they go off in their future endeavors. The institutes carry forth the promise of that stewardship, of education of our community and action in preparing young people for leadership. During this week, some of our students have had their adventures chronicled and documented online in several formats. And you can also go to our website, sturgeoncity.org. You can check out some of the information on WordPress that's been going on this week. And you can, of course, check out our Sturgeon City Facebook page, where there have been many posts throughout this week of many of the photos we've been working on. And all of the photos have also been stored on Flickr. So if you just use Sturgeon City Institutes and look that up on Flickr, you can find all the photos from this year as well as past years, for those of you that have participated multiple years with us. And again, here's our website up there for you. And today's ceremonies are being recorded, and they will be replayed on government TV. And all of that information is also archived on the YouTube site. And of course, again, all of these are accessible by going to the Sturgeon City website. So let us now begin our recognition of the students who participated with us this week. And I would like to start by calling forth Marshall Smith and Mary Downey, who are the director and instructor for our Science Academy program. Okay.
Hi, my name is Marshall Smith. I've been part of the Sturgeon City Institutes. We were trying to figure it out. I think I've been here for about 15 years. I run the engineering program. I am a native of Onslow County, and I do teach engineering at one of our local high schools. And I look forward to showing y'all what we have to offer you later when we actually do our presentation of our kids' stuff.
Hey, good afternoon. I am Mary Downey. I'm also a teacher in Onslow County at White Oak High School. But in the summertime, I like to spend a week learning about students from all over Onslow County and getting to know them and teach them a little bit about marine science. But I am going to turn it back over to Marshall Smith and engineering for their presentation.
And we're back. Like I said, my name is Marshall Smith. I teach a Project Lead the Way program here in Onslow County. We teach college-level engineering to high school students full-time. And so getting to do programs like this is a lot of fun because we get to teach them without the worry about grades and, having to worry about tests and whether or not they gain this or meet that standard. It's more just about getting them to understand and be creative. I always say at these things how impressed I am with the students that you parents offer up. And this year is no different. We have awesome kids. You all have awesome kids. We produce some smart apples here in Onslow County. This year is unique, though. We did something, usually on the presentation that we have some kind of cool robot or something flies in or something blows up. And that's just kind of the way that our program's always worked. But this year we did something a little bit different. And I'm going to kind of let the kids come up and speak for themselves, and then we'll kind of sum it up at the end. But I find this very interesting. This was about the most unique bit of learning that I've ever seen a good group of students do. So if you guys want to come on up and no? Okay, well then sit back down. We'll do, no, I'm just, come on. Ooh, look, I broke something. Fixed. Come on. Y'all ready? Don't forget to speak in the mic. Okay.
Dream it, do it! The rise and fall of Moscow, an experiment in societal engineering.
Grab the mic.
So my name is Tobiah. In Moscow, I control the Wi-Fi. So, hey, put your phones away!
I'm Laurel. I had control of all the trains, and I had the fastest and only train in Moscow.
Hey everybody, my name's Abraham, and I had the water company under my jurisdiction until I poisoned it all.
Hi, my name's Shaitara. I was one of the criminals, and I blew up the train.
My name is AJ, and I am the Pope of the Church of Justiceism.
I am Micah. I used to have the majority of vote in law until I started a nuclear program.
I'm Kathleen, and I made the flag.
I'm Shaylin, and I like the flea market.
I'm Devin, and I have a gambling problem.
I'm Duncan, and I love sewer more than I love myself.
I'm Samantha, and I robbed a bank before it was cool.
I'm Matthew, and I bought the stock market and tried to crash it.
All right, so at the beginning of the week, we weren't really sure what we were planning on doing for the program, so we decided let's start off by making our own little city. We started off by making 4 different quadrants for our city, and we divided different powers for each quadrant, so we ended up having 4 branches of government. Each branch had a bunch of different tasks and assignments given to each part, so we would have something for each part, like transportation was given to one part, or the banking system and such stuff like that. We did more than just make a city. We made like a little society.
Whoa, that's very small. Okay, so as you can see, there are 4 quadrants. Actually, there are 12 of us, except for her. We'll get to her later. But there are 12 of us, so each quadrant got 3 people. The 3 quadrants, if I could have you all raise your hand, there was civics, so 1, 2, and then 3. Law, resources, and then finance. So yeah, those were the 4 quadrants, and then I'm gonna have them explain to you what was behind it all.
So resources was basically a part of providing everything for the city. We provided power with our wind turbines, we provided wood with our forests, metal from the mine, and we had a farm for food.
Finance dealt with the banking system and the money. Also covered insurance, the mint to make the money, and also tolls on the roads. Our money in this society was cowbucks, as you can see up there.
We had that's civics.
Okay, so for civics, we dealt with transportation to move our people around in our city. We also dealt with amusement parks, so our people actually had entertainment, and we dealt with other various things like having trains for transportation.
Okay, now it's law. All right, so for law, it was basically the government. We'd make decisions, we had the courthouse, we'd also be in charge of public safety, so the police force and fire stations and hospitals. Of course, we had our military over here. That was also something that we had in our jurisdiction. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But here's one example we have right here of a little thing that we had in a court case. That giant tower you see right there would belong to the religion of
Justiceism.
Okay, and apparently they elected me the preacher of it. And what we decided, for some reason, that nothing should be above the cow, so we ended up tearing off the octopus and putting it on the police station. Give the criminals a bit of a religion. And so instead of the squid, we put the cow there and we made it a government facility. So essentially, we pulled a Communist Manifesto, stole the building, and put a cow on it. And to put it shortly. Who's next?
So how our eventual game worked is, since we kind of didn't know what we were doing at first, we made rules as we went and had 2 sort of phases in our game. First was a building phase. That was where people in their separate quadrants were able to build any buildings that they had jurisdiction over, or like a train station, anything that they could to make our city bigger and better. And then we had another phase, our meeting or call to order phase, and our next person will go further in depth with that.
As previously mentioned, we had a call to order phase where we would introduce new businesses that people put on the board during the building phase. We also had natural disasters, which the acts of God would put on the board. And then we would have crime that the criminals would commit. We would also have an open discussion on what types of add-ons we would put on the board. And then we accumulated the money that we made throughout the board of the businesses that we already had on. We also had the lottery at the end, which was a game of chance to see who could get the most cowbutts.
So in insurance, there are acts of God, which is natural disasters. Well, on the second day, we had an intern come in. Her name is Jade, and she represented our acts of God. She chose which natural disasters would happen and when. So an example was earthquakes, which we represented by grabbing the board and picking it up and dropping it and see what would happen, which caused floods. And we also had meteor strikes, which was represented by Chick-fil-A boxes. And they destroyed a lot of the city.
All right, then we had criminals. They were anonymous throughout the whole game. They were Yates and Hodgins, or whatever. And then we have, they did crimes like sabotage businesses and blow up trains, raid, rob, all the stuff. That's pretty much it for crime. I mean, they robbed the bank when there was no security. We didn't have law for the longest time. The sector wasn't really built. Yeah.
All right, so now we're onto the court, and basically our courts were constant battles when we did have them, and we would have a minute for the person bringing in the case, where they would get to explain why they were bringing the case in, and then it'd have a minute to, the other team, the defenders, would have a minute to defend their case, and then there would be 1 minute of full-on chaos, screaming, yelling, nobody listening to anything anyone else said, people shoving hands over each other's mouths. And our judge over here would, judge and jury, which is, you can see in the bottom, and they would all walk out of the room, decide what would happen, and come in and tell us what would happen.
So like all great societies, it had to come to an end eventually. So rather than go out and just put it all away like normal human beings, we decided to have a little bit of fun with it. There was a great schism, and all 4 quadrants separated, cut off access to each other, and built defenses and offensive weapons. So we attacked each other in attempts to try and destroy our city, most times unsuccessfully, but we had weaponry, including paper balls, duct tape balls, tennis balls, and a human fist. And just destroyed it. And here's the video. Oh, come on. Come on. Yes. That was our human fist. So?
Oh, I don't need that because I have these. So throughout the course of the game, they played for these cowbucks. And the idea was by negotiating terms, we dealt with issues like pollution. We dealt with all of the different national resources. We had all different factions of government, from actual law and order to the people that controlled the Transportation Commission. We had a military. We had our sewage. We had everything we could think of that would take a real government to work, and they had to negotiate and figure out how those different things work together. And in doing that, every round, like they said, they would earn these cowbucks, which would give them power, knowing that in the end, the winner would be named the mayor of Moscow. And they have no idea who won the game. And so, as we always do in society now, we decided no winner, everybody's a winner. I'm not doing that to y'all. I told you, you gotta have a winner. And Ms. Hodges, you are the winner of Moscow. Ms. Hodges is the mayor of Moscow. We had a really great time. We did not, this was nothing like what I expected to do. I was going to do a little model city and teach them something about civil engineering, and we did not do that. We did something completely different, and I think they learned more from what we did than anything I could have planned. So I'm proud of these kids because they really did their own thing and did a really good job of it. So having said that, let me give you all your certificates of completion. And I will, Ms. Duncan, I have a laser in my classroom, and we're going to make her a laser plaque that basically has the Mayor of Moscow plaque. It's going to be really cool, and it'll show up at your school sometime in the fall. So, Stephen Duncan. Good job, buddy. Devin Gardner. Shaylin Grafaldo. Kathleen Harmon. Yep. Shatira Hodges. Austin Jarman. Laurel Kellum. Abraham Lopez. Matthew McMichael. Micah Schooler. Tobias Standard. Samantha Yates. And in the end, I would just like to give a special thanks to Jade Sweeney. She was one of my seniors this year in the engineering program I talked about earlier. And she just came out because she didn't even have anything else to do this week and wanted to help. So thank you again, Jade, for everything you did. And y'all may take a seat. Thank you all.
My pocket's back, it's fine. All right, so I had a strong 21-person group of marine science students this year. Last year we had a great time, and some of them came back and brought friends. So when I got here on Monday morning and they said, "You have 21," I said, "Yes, but I'm going to need some help." And so I invited, and I didn't invite, actually, Miss Paula Farnell invited her intern, one of her interns from Sturgeon City, Amanda Duncan, over to help me out. And she's been a tremendous help. She's going to tell you a little bit about herself, and we're going to invite our group to come up to the stage, please.
Yeah, you guys, I'll talk over you. Just be quiet. As you can see from the PowerPoint, my name is Amanda Duncan. I'm a senior at UNCW. I'm the intern over at Sturgeon City. I'm majoring in sociology and criminology, so marine biology was taking me out of my element for sure. But I think it says something special when you come into work every day and you are genuinely excited. These kids have been completely respectful, not only to their other fellows, but to the staff here at Sturgeon City. I haven't seen such a good group of well-behaved kids in a long time, and it was really refreshing to have these kids here, and I'm honestly going to miss them next week. So we actually have prepared a little video presentation to kind of show what kind of personality that our group had this week. You might recognize the filming that we had with it, so you might recognize what kind of method that we had.
Well, we dissected today, and I can already smell the fish.
It looked like Peter. So I pulled it, and the whole string came out. You should dissect.
I vomited.
Yeah, well, I thought my intestines was cool till they pulled out 7 baby sharks.
We were just glad we were at a different table.
It was awesome.
Where'd the baby go?
I have one.
Where's the second one? They probably have it.
The sharks were disgusting. I saw things I didn't want to see. It was cool, I guess. It was disgusting.
So, my name is Hala, and this is my second year doing the Marine Science Institute. And instead of just talking about our favorite moments, we are going to act it out for you guys. So, here's Shad as our first narrator for day 1.
Hi, I'm Shad. This is my first year at Sturgeon City, but I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. And on our first day, we took a tour of Sturgeon City, and we took a nature walk. But some people had some trouble with the bugs.
Get off! Get off!
And we also found a turtle, and we named it Fred.
Oh my gosh, it's Fred.
And we have Eric, who has some words about day 1.
On Monday, we played Frisbee, and we learned that Amanda needs some practice.
I really do. And now we have Amara to narrate day 2.
So on day 2, we went to the beach and we found a bunch of shells.
Oh my god, look at these shells.
We also found a strange coconut.
It's a coconut. I'm going to name it Carlos and put it in a cooler until we find it.
We lost Carlos. If you have found Carlos, please return him to the marine biology group. We miss him a lot. And now I'm going to pass it over to Marissa, and she's going to tell us about Wednesday.
Hi, my name is Marissa. This is my first year at the Sturgeon City Institute. On day 3, we did dissection. We actually dissected clams and crawfish, and then we dissected a shark, which turned out to have babies inside. It was really gross. The shark was a chondrichthyes. We also learned about osteichthyes and agnatha. This classification just shows the structure of the different fish. But yeah, it was gross.
Hello, my name's Katun, and for day 4 of Sturgeon City, we went canoeing in Wilson Bay. We actually went all the way out towards the bridge under the bypass. So yeah, that was fun. Some people needed to learn how to steer a little bit.
Why are you going to the right? You're supposed to be going to the left.
I'm going to the left. You're supposed to go to the left.
No, you're supposed to go to my left. Over there.
Okay, we also went wading through the marshes. Some people had holes in their boots, and some people also decided that they were going to go through the middle, and some people got stuck.
Don't walk through the middle. I'm going through the middle.
I'm out of here.
And now I'm going to pass it to Anajra for day 5.
So on day 5, we
we worked with our networking skills in the youth center across the street, and we met with some local business people and exchanged our cards, information, and but the day before, we learned from our, where are they at? We learned from our new generation leaders in the back over there a few skills that they thought would help us get confident in ourselves. We learned that smiling, eye contact, communication, and a firm handshake will get you somewhere in the networking community. Now I'm going to pass it over to Megan with our final closing.
I'm short, so I'm going to need to take this. Hello, and thank you for coming out to see us. My name is Megan Houchins, and this is my second year at Sturgeon City Institutes. All this week, we had a great time learning and having fun. I personally learned that bugs love to bite me. Anyway, we wanted to thank all who made Sturgeon City possible. So thank you. This week was also great because unlike last year, I didn't fall in or get stuck in the marshes. Woohoo! So marine biology was so much fun, and we all hope to meet up next year or sometime during Sturgeon City, I hope. So thank you everyone for this great opportunity to grow and learn. We really appreciate it.
Before we hand out certificates, we actually all have something for Miss Mary. We couldn't have been able to survive this week without her. I know I could not have taught marine biology if you paid me. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we will award the certificates for fellow for these students. And I can't stress to you enough what Amanda and Marshall said earlier. You've sent us amazing young people, and we appreciate that. Like I said before, a great solid group of 21 students. 21 day one might have seemed a little intimidating because I think last year I had 12 or 15. But all wonderful students, wonderful young people. I wish I could have them every day in my classroom. But here we have Marissa Anderson. Emily Conrad. Emily Conrad. Kaden Carell. Allison Cowan. Cameron Davis. Colin Davis. Katherine Dixon. Hala El Alfie. Eric Green. Melissa Harmon. Ruth Otto. Chloe Henderson. Megan Houchins. Andrew Huntington. Christopher Huntington. Peter Huntington. Shad Kotate. Amara Moeller. Tanner Murray. Marshall Ramsey. And Amazria Rawls. Thank y'all so much.
So thank you to our wonderful staff for our Science Academy, and as they mentioned, all of our wonderful students who had a blast this week, and I know made some new friends and brought some old friends with them, and we had a great week with all those students. So who will follow this current generation of leaders? A team has worked this week to prepare one group for just such leadership. I would like to welcome Hannah Hill as the director of our New Generation Leaders Group for this week.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah Hill, and I'm a teacher here in Onslow County, and I've had the pleasure of working with this group of new generation leaders. If you have heard the phrase small yet mighty, it is definitely true about this group. Within the past few days, they have completed mighty, mighty tasks such as creating a memorial, volunteer work in the Satan heat, in the sun, setting up for a picnic and serving food to the other institutes, and also just being all around great students. This week, we have focused on the 7 habits of a leader. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, seek first to understand, then to be understood, synergize, and sharpen the saw. What I did not tell the students is there is actually an 8th habit, find your voice, which is the most important habit in becoming a leader. I am now going to let them use their voices to tell you more about this week. This room is now a talk show audience. You are now part of the show, The Lead. I am your host, Vanna Mill, and this is where we interview the leaders of tomorrow. My guests today are Zamira, Tamara, Abigail, and Terrence. All right, so Abigail, we're gonna start off easy. Just for the audience, please tell them how you felt on the first day of New Generation Leaders.
Well, I was very nervous starting the first camp because I had never gone to a Sturgeon City camp before. But once we broke off into our small groups, I got to know everyone and talk a lot, and I think we made a really great team.
Awesome, thank you. I'm so glad that you felt that way. Terrence, could you explain to the audience, after all the nervousness disappeared on the first day, what did you learn?
We learned how to be proactive. And the meaning of being proactive is you are in charge of your actions and feelings, which means to carry your own weight.
So Tamara, thank you for joining us today. Let's keep going with the 7 habits. Can you describe what habit 2 is?
Habit 2 is begin with the end in mind, which means knowing what you want to do before you do it by setting goals for yourself. We learned a formula to apply with this. It's called a setup like X to Y by when. So an example would be to go from a B to an A by the end of your semester.
Awesome. Now, Zamir, we're going to get down to the juicy stuff. We found out that some activities required some self-reflection out of you 4. Can you describe the true or false quiz that you took?
The true or false quiz on habit 3 showed me that I can sometimes get distracted, and in the future I need to plan ahead and don't wait till the last minute.
Awesome. All right, now, Abigail, here comes the tougher questions. Tell us about habit 4 and how can it relate to this week?
Well, habit 4 is think win-win, and we went to the memorials on Tuesday, and we had to plan our own memorial. What we planned is to make a memorial for the military families. We had to think of a way to raise money for the memorial that not only got us money, but also was going to be beneficial to the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I know that Sturgeon City has fun every year with Canoe Day. How does Canoe Day apply to the habits?
It relates to habit 5, which is seek to understand, then to be understood. Because I had to listen to the leader in our canoe before I spoke and asked questions, so our canoe would not tip over.
And I'm thankful to say that none of my students tipped over in the water. It's a dry season. We're thankful for that. All right, so Tamara, what is synergy? Do I really need that in my life?
Yes, synergy is one of the 7 habits. Synergy means teamwork and working together. One of the ways that we worked together this week was when we worked together to come up with a presentation to present the steps of SECS, which stands for smile, eye contact, communicate, and shake.
Thank you so much. So I think I'm starting to understand the 7 habits. But the 7th habit, sharpen your saw, that's a little bit confusing. Zamira, can you help me out?
I learned from sharpen the saw that it's important to take time for yourself and do the things that you like and enjoy.
Awesome. You 4 have been great guests. Thank you for joining our show. But we're going to end with a bonus question. Can you please tell the audience this week on how you have prepared to become a leader?
it's prepared me to be a leader in many ways because as a leader, you have to set great examples. And the seventh habit has helped me. The habit I'll keep in mind is habit 4. Think win-win so everybody wins and have fun.
This week has prepared me to be a leader because I'm going to remember that my actions will affect other people. I'm also going to think of ways that I can use the 7 habits in my day-to-day life.
This week has prepared me for leadership by teaching me to set myself up for success by using the 7 essential habits.
This week has shown me how to be a leader with the activities on essential habits, shown me how to use them in everyday life. It makes me look at things that I do differently.
Well, that is a wrap for the league. Thank you for joining us this season. We would like to thank our sponsors, Sturgeon City Institutes, and please join us again next year for New Generation Leaders. So I'm now going to give out the certificates of completion. So Terrence Cooper Jr., Zamira Simmons, Tamara Waters, and Abigail Whitfield. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, guys. So as you can see, has been mentioned in this presentation and throughout all of our institutes this week, leadership is one of the important skills, and this particular group has focused hard on that this week. So we're excited to see what their future will hold in this community. And with that, I would like to move on and introduce Ms. Katherine Ackerman, who is the director for our Art Institute for this week.
Hi, everybody. I am Kathy Ackerman. I am a local artist and volunteer with our Council for the Arts, Jacksonville Onslow, which is directly across the street from this building. This week, I had the pleasure of working with these fine students here, teaching them a little bit about art, the environment, and our community. Art itself is an expression, the materialization of a thought or feeling. Individual art can be described as a reflection of a person's own unique experiences, documenting the sum total of life's successes and failures, achievements and losses. Public art provides a very important access to ideas that can both identify needs and unite varying parts of a community. The students of the Sturgeon City Art Institute were given the opportunity, resources, and encouragement to document this past week of their lives into artist journals, which you can see up here at the easels. As they hiked around historic downtown Jacksonville and the beautiful New River waterfront, they observed nature, explored monuments, and made their own art in an art gallery. I asked these students to create both an energetic and tangible connection between our environment and our community, using the impact that art can have on both. In response, they combined their efforts and their abilities and are here today to present you with their expression, their reflections, and their contribution to this community.
I'm Russell Milligan. This is my second year for the Science Institute, and unless these two want to not get nervous and introduce themselves, do you want to? No? Okay. So this is Phoebe. That's
Kira.
Yeah, that's Katie, and yeah, Kira. Sorry, I don't know why I'm thinking of something else. I just am. So all this week we've been learning about art. We've been going different places, expressing ourselves through art, and throughout this week we've been working on a big project, and I'm gonna hand it off to Phoebe to tell you this while I grab it from underneath the table.
So we decided, we were inspired by the whole talk about how there was pollution in the water, the bay, and how 20 years of progress went into making it. So we decided to base a piece of art off of that.
So yeah, you can show it. Okay. So the blue is trash. We painted over it and stuff, and then and we used nature to make the sturgeon, and we call it Synergy City because we really focused on synergy and collaborative work this week, and yeah.
And so we would like to give this to Sturgeon City. So there you go. And so at the beginning of this week, we learned about 3 things: the trickle, the wave, and the vision. So now we will explain our week and how we thought about this through those 3 things. So the trickle was learning that art can be made from anything, like trash and nature. So we decided to make a piece to help teach kids that you can improve your environment and make something beautiful from it.
The wave was the action taken to collectively pick up trash and bits of nature in order to show the contrast between the two. We worked together to glue and paint our gathered materials onto the canvas, and the idea we collaborated on was to make this into a sturgeon.
The vision is that by painting the trash blue, our art piece would symbolize the combined cleanup efforts of the community over the past 20 years. By presenting this collage to Sturgeon City, we hope to inspire the contribution of generations to come.
At this time, I would like to present these students with their certificates. Phoebe Chambers. Kira McDowell. And Russell Milligan. Big round of applause for all of these guys, please. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. It's great to see, again, all of these different groups being inspired by our story in so many different ways. And we learned how it applies to so much more than just the water quality efforts and things that were put forth and how we tie it into other aspects of our life. These are aspiring artists, and they're still finding ways to tie in the story of Sturgeon City. And thank you very much for the artwork. We will definitely find a wonderful place for it down at Sturgeon City to be on display and help to tell the story. So thank you for that. And with that, I'm going to tell us a little bit about our next institute. Save the best for last, maybe? I don't know. They're all the best. They're really all the best. But our Public Safety Institute. Public safety work is much more than what we see on television, of course. And I would like to introduce Jacksonville Police Corporal John Kluke. And also, this is the long list of several of his staff. But we have with us also here Officer Jared Lofton, who are going to help out with the presentation from our Public Safety Institute for this week.
All right, thank you. This is the second year I've worked with the Public Safety Institute. Both years have been great fun. I'd say half our class from last year came back to join us again this year, which is great. And that gave us a reason to make sure we added some new things. So we added EMS as part of our collaborative public safety. We didn't cover that last year, so we added that in. We added crime scene and crime scene investigations. So they had a mock crime scene, which won't get too much into because they all have some talking points they want to go through. And the most electrifying thing we added in was a taser class and demonstration in which yours truly was the only person available to get tased. So hopefully they removed the audio because it didn't sound good, right? But it was a good chance to show them some of the stuff that you might see on TV in relation to police, fire, and public safety in general, and when we would or wouldn't use certain tactics and why. It's important to be able to understand these things so you can make informed decisions about what you may receive from the media. So without any further ado, if the students could come up. And while they're coming up, I would like to just real quickly thank Officer Lofton. Although I'm listed as the director, between other work-related obligations and family, I missed a little bit of time during this week. And Officer Lofton has really stepped up and taken care of the students, added some consistency, and was able to pull the program that I laid out for him. So a round of applause for Officer Lofton.
And as you can see, it takes a lot of people to do different parts of ours. It's a public safety institute. It's not just the police institute. Over the last 3 years, there's been a lot of changes in public safety around here. We became Department of Public Safety, fire and police. So, but we also, this year, we also incorporated that EMS too. And I'll let them tell you about it.
Hi, my name is Deshauna Cruz, and this is my second year with the Public Safety Institute.
Hi, my name is Casey, and this is my second year with the Public Safety Institute also.
So we did a mock crime scene investigation, and CSI Carlton and CSI Livingston set that up. So they set that up days before, and we didn't know what it was going to be. But we went in and basically had to search the area and find things that were out of place, and basically things that you see on TV, but like it was more real and it was definitely a lot harder. Then we had to dust for fingerprints, and we had to pick up fingerprints in the places you wouldn't think fingerprints would be. And then we had to find paint with light in the dark, which is basically you're in the dark and you're in the dark and you take the picture, and then you bring a flashlight around and you just go around the room, and then you have to run out as fast as you can and take the picture again. And it basically shows you, like, the ending effect shows you like what you couldn't see before. And the picture comes out lighter, obviously, but it's really cool to see. And other things that you do pick up on is DNA samples and microsil, which is another DNA like fingerprinting thing. And basically it helps get the air bubbles out and gets you a cleaner fingerprint, so that way when you go back to the lab, you can have a clean fingerprint to look at. Now I'm going to hand it over to Casey.
All right, so we also did a jail tour. And first, when you walk into the jail tour, obviously we had to get rid of our phones, which is no big deal, more interesting. And so as we walk into the office, there's a display case with confiscated weapons that were handmade by inmates. Some of the weirdest things you could probably see, and others that were very fascinating, many sculptures, and you would think many of these people, why did they go to jail if they could have been an artist? So it was kind of ironic to see those things and many creative ideas. And also many items in the jail are served in plastic bags, such as food, that are served to the inmates for the safety of other inmates and themselves. And also to protect the officers that are serving in that jail, they use paintball guns with pepper spray powder, only used for certain force when needed. So that was something non-lethal to use, and it was more creative because that was something we wouldn't expect.
This is what I was talking about when you paint with light. You are in a dark room and you just stand still, and then you go across with the flashlight, and basically, like, then once she says run out, you run out as fast as you can. She takes the picture again, and the ending effects is this really cool ghost look that we all have, aside from Maddie's legs, but that's fine. But yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Madison, and this is my second year with the Public Safety Group. Hi, I'm Madison, and this is also my second year with the Public Safety Institute. Okay, so one of the other things we got to experience was taking our own fingerprints and lifting them. So 2 crime scene investigators came in and they taught us the process of how they go through a crime scene and lift fingerprints. And we also got the opportunity to lift our own fingerprints and dust for fingerprints. So it was something our group really enjoyed and we all found it really interesting.
Another one of the things we experienced this week was going to see one of the EMS trucks. We got to meet 2 paramedics and also we got to meet 2 EMTs. We had the opportunity to go inside one of the ambulances, and inside there was cardiac arrest equipment and a bunch of medicine. One of the EMTs hooked us up to a heart monitor, and we actually got to see our heartbeat and pulse. It was a remarkable experience.
My name is Carl, and this was my first year with the Public Safety Institute.
Hi, I'm Lewis. This is my first year with Sturgeon City and the Public Safety Institute.
So on Wednesday morning, we went to visit the Jacksonville City Police Department SWAT unit, and in there, we saw their vehicle, which is a heavily armored, very fast truck that they use from everything from hostage situations to rescuing people from natural disasters during floods. We also looked at what they use in situations, all their gear. They use a chest rig, which is very heavily armored to carry everything from extra ammunition for their rifles to flashbangs. And they used utility belts, which carries their sidearm and their extra ammunition, and medical supplies for helping a downed officer or hostage. They also use helmets with night vision goggles to see in the dark. They also use rifles, sniper rifles, and main entry weapons, which are small and easy to use.
Another thing that we toured the same morning was a simulator called the Prism, which new officers used during the academy, where they were trained to react in different scenarios. We were given 2 weapons that were modified to have lasers equipped so we can use them during the simulator, and they also had a CO2 canister that made them still have a little kick in them, feel more realistic. So the way the scenarios works is there'll be very different scenarios ranging from a minor disturbance in an office to a bar fight to even a school shooting. So in this picture, you can see me and another one of my friends here doing one of the scenarios. So yeah, it was pretty fun. I got hit by this little pellet about 6 times in the leg. Those things sting. That's about it.
Hi, I'm Zipporah, and this is my second year in the Public Safety Institute.
I am Emma, and this is my first time with Sturgeon City and the Public Safety Institute.
So on Monday, the police department showed us the canine unit. The 2 dogs that they showed us, Brinks and Maverick, even though they were both young, they were still very smart. They showed us how we can touch items and throw them, and they could fetch them.
The commands that the officers give the dogs are in Dutch. This is so that the suspect doesn't know what they're trying to say, and if they say attack, they won't know that the dog is gonna attack them. The dogs that the canine unit gets comes from a city in Hungary. Maverick, the youngest of the 2, showed us how they can capture and how they release the dogs to go after someone. Overall, on Monday, it was a really fun experience to end a wonderful day.
Hi, I'm Marcus, and this is my second year with Public Safety.
I'm Chris, and this is also my second year.
So today we did fire, and pretty much we were able to go through go look at their gear, the trucks, and everything. One of them had to be called off because of an emergency. Things like that. We saw their living quarters. how they live, what they would do in their pastime. I'm not sure if this is working. But long story short, fire bad for the most part.
Later on in the week, they let us play with a fire simulator. It was basically just a screen and a fire extinguisher with a laser pointer in it. And we just had to spray it like it was a real fire and put it out. And at the end, Officer Kluke looked me in the face, and he said sternly, "Fire always bad." And I could never talk to him the same again.
So this year, one of the biggest things that we added was the CSI portions of the class. One of the things they got to do is play with some castings that we use to take molds of footprints and things like that. And this year we made our own artwork too. So we had a little bit of a art institute going on as well. So we made this for the institute for next year. It's just got Sturgeon City with all of our individual thumbprints in there. Everybody that was in here this year. So.
It says PS Public Safety 2018.
You're welcome. All right, go ahead and call it the name. Carl Benson. Luis Carino. Deshauna Cruz. Marcus Kent. Madison McDonald. Emma Sherman. Casey Standard. Madison Thomas. Christopher Van Estendel. Is that right? Is that right? Okay. Zipporah Van Estendel. And Javon Williams.
And that was it for public safety. Thanks to them, we will have even more new stuff. We're going to take their ideas of what they want to see, if they're going to come back for round 3, some of them, and try to make it even better for next year. So thank you.
And there we saw another great group of kids and getting to learn all about some more inner workings of the city of Jacksonville. So great opportunities that our police and fire and EMS departments provide for these students, and are able to, as they said, they keep adding new things each year based on the wants and needs of the students, and because the students do keep coming back, that's also a clear sign that they're enjoying it because they do keep coming back. And with that, I'd like to just tell you guys a little bit about a vision for the future that we have going on down at Sturgeon City. So these are some sketchings of what things might look like one day down at our site as we're working and moving forward on our Sturgeon City Environmental Education Center. And I also have to share with you a couple of our actual construction photos. For those of you that have been around the site recently, you know that starting late last fall, we began construction on our actual Environmental Education Center. This is from back in April. And this one is from a little more recently, just about a week ago. As you can see, we're under roof there a little bit, and they're getting a lot of our beams up. They're working on some framing this week, and we're hoping to start seeing some more work on the interior walls continuing, and utilities work has been going on. So we're moving forward and hopeful that by this time next year, we'll be having events like these in this new facility. And when it's complete and fully built out, it's an over 11,000 square foot building, providing us approximately 7,000 square feet of programming space, which will allow us to obviously greatly expand the programs that we provide, as well as this program that we provide at the Sturgeon City Institutes. Sturgeon City runs several field trip and summer camp programs throughout the year down at our site currently, and we're often space and weather limited now, so this will be a great change for us and our abilities in the future. And this offers one large room, as you see it shown here, but this can also be split into 3 smaller rooms, allowing for multiple things to potentially be going on at the same time as well, which will be nice for us. And there's also area here in this building for a wet lab facility, which will allow for some additional hands-on science opportunities at our site. Here's an idea of what it would look like with the room split into 3. And we hope that this building is going to become something important for the community as well, because as well as providing additional programs through Sturgeon City, it's going to be available for other community events and programs and really provide value. Again, kind of looking back on that vision of turning Jacksonville into a true destination and really being able to take pride in our community. And again, that beneficial and adaptive reuse of this site that we have down there right on the water. It's really a great, beautiful location, and being able to continue to tell our story, but just add to the value of that space as well. And we have just a couple renderings here of what the outside will look like a little bit. So it's a combination of some brick masonry on the lower portion of the building, which is the lobby area, and then kind of just metal sheeting on the large room portion of the building. And the back wall is actually going to be, which I call it the back, but that's what faces the administration building, mostly glass doors and windows that will open to the outside to provide a nice view of the site and be a lot of natural light. And you can see in our middle picture here that we have there's sort of an awning that will go out over those doors and windows, be a little concrete patio area that we can use for outside. And here's a couple potential ideas of what might eventually happen down there with the rest of the facility. Potentially a courtyard that you would look out onto, continuing to reuse the structures that are still left down there at the site, a welcoming place, using the former clarifiers, turning them into something new, and turning the former Buyer Tower into an exhibit that would tell our story, talk about the original Wilson Bay Initiative and the cleanup that was done down there, tell where we've came from, and continue to hope to go forward in the future. Just a little idea of what it could potentially look like one day. This bio tower was actually once one of the tallest structures in Jacksonville. And so we have some ideas too for actually the top of this structure, maybe being able to have kind of a viewpoint area there. You can actually still get a great view. You look out over Wilson Bay and out towards the bridge there. And so it's still a great spot to be able to go out and have a nice view in that area. And just a couple more images to give you a bit of an idea of what it might look like. So as we're saying here, the front view, which kind of leads into that lobby area with the larger classroom open space. And then on the back view, as I was mentioning, a lot of glass windows and doors on that side, giving you a lot of natural light. And just being able to view the outdoors, even if you're indoors, having a program or things like that, but also having easy access to go in and outside, as we will, of course, still utilize all the outdoor spaces that we have down at that facility with our fantastic location right there on the water and that access as well. And this building will really help to represent those goals and those ideas. Again, continuing to tell our story, providing a place of learning, providing a place to take pride in. Here's an image of our 15th year of institutes. We had the students form into the lovely shape of a sturgeon. And this was actually when the Sturgeon City nonprofit passed on our first check as our payment back on the funds provided to help build this facility over 5 years ago now. And so we see this was the beginning of the commitment to build this facility. And these children in the shape of a fish are standing in a spot where the building is now being built. So for those of you that are looking at that and recognizing that site, what was once a gravel lot like that is now the base for our new facility. And this is the picture taken this year as we celebrated our 20th year of the Sturgeon City Institutes. You can see our great group in their nice white shirts, and you can see kind of to the right there part of the construction going on, but you can also still see the former structures of the site. Very important to still be able to tell our story of where we've come from. Utilizing those structures for other things rather than completely demolishing them, so we still know the story of what this facility once was. Some might still be wondering all this talk about sturgeon. We always talk about sturgeon, and how does that tie in, to our commitment to the environment and to learning and to stewardship. And the answer is simple. Sturgeon are bottom feeders. They once freely traveled up the New River to spawn, and when the incredible pollution produced a thick layer of sludge, they were unable to travel up and actually spawn like that. It also impacted that bottom life, that benthic life that they feed on, and so by cutting off that food chain, it made it more difficult for them to come into this area. There were, of course, many other factors that led to the downfall of that species, But the hope was always the cleanup of the river would be able to bring back a species like that. They're a great keystone species. They're very visual. Those of you that are aware, they're still kind of the same. They've been looking the same for millions of years. They're kind of a prehistoric, some people call them a dinosaur fish. They also grow very large, so they're very recognizable. And the hope was always that if we restored the water quality in this area, sturgeon might come back. That would be kind of the official symbol that we really did our job, because they are a very important species in this and many other areas. And there have been some seen here over the years. Of course, again, they are still protected endangered species, so they are still rare, but they are coming back in some areas nearby. So we're hoping that that will still become a reality one day in the future. But again, we just utilize that as a symbol to continue to tell our story of taking responsibility and being able to teach future generations, learn from our past mistakes to make sure they aren't repeated. And there are many different varieties of sturgeon, the same way that there are many different institute programs that we provide during this week and many other programs that we provide down at our facility. So it's also a nice symbol for the different programs that we like to provide for the students. And we just want to spread the message that this city, the city of Jacksonville, cares about youth. So whether your students grow up to stay here in this community or leave and come back to this community as community members, wherever they may end up in their future endeavors, to always know that they have a place here and the city is proud of them. And with that, I'd like to tell a little bit about one of the ways our city has shown that. Around the same time, in fact, that the Wilson Bay wastewater treatment plant was closing, there were some conversations about wanting a way for youth to get more involved in this community. And in 1998, the Onslow County School Board and the City of Jacksonville partnered to form the Jacksonville Youth Council. And this was to be a voice for young people in our community and for them to learn about our workings of government and to be able to have a voice and be a part of this community. And so with that, I would like to introduce Tamara Waters. She would like to come up and tell us a little bit more about the Youth Council.
Hi, my name is Tamara Waters, and I serve on Jacksonville Youth Council as my school's representative. Jacksonville Youth Council is a very special organization because it allows students to be active in their community and be engaged with what's going on in the community. So I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why you should join Jacksonville Youth Council. Jacksonville Youth Council, like I said before, allows kids to be engaged in the community. So we get to see what's going on. Just recently, we went on a tour of Jacksonville and got to know the history of Jacksonville and its maps and the grave sites. We also got to see the water plant and tour there and got to see how our water gets cleaned and all that goes on there. Another reason why you should join Jacksonville Youth Council is that you get to do a lot of fun stuff. We participate in the Christmas parade, so that's always a lot of fun. And we also do movie nights. We're also going to Busch Gardens this summer, and we do college tours. So it's a lot of good pluses. The third reason is you get to make a lot of friends. Coming to Jacksonville Youth Council, I was nervous at first because I didn't really know a lot of people there, and my school was brand new, so I didn't really have a lot of people to invite as well. So when I first showed up, I was nervous, but people welcomed me with a smile and asked my name, and we really were able to connect. And now I could say I have a lot of other friends from other schools as well. Sorry. And so Jacksonville Youth Council is just special because it's allowing youth to be connected to their community. A lot of times people feel like the youth don't really care about the community or are not really interested in what's going on. And through Jacksonville Youth Council, they make it fun to learn about what's going on as well as being engaged in what's going on. So we meet every first Thursday at 6 p.m. Our first meeting is September 6th. And we have a whole bunch of summer events coming up, like the Youth Empowerment Series starting on June 28th, which is next Thursday. So please, if you ever come to a Jacksonville Youth Council meeting, just know you have one friend there. So come and see me, and I'll say, hey, So please, thank you.
Thank you very much, Tamara. And yeah, definitely check it out. Again, this whole week has been about empowering you guys to be a part of your community and move forward in different leadership roles in this community. And the Youth Council is a great way to get involved and find out about that, as well as doing some cool, fun stuff. So it doesn't all have to be work. But if you're at all interested in city government or things like that, definitely check it out. And with that, I'm going to move on to a special presentation of what this week looked like to our media team. The time has now come to close these 2018 institutes. The success of any edition of these institutes is not measured by today, but in the future, and what the future will hold for all of these participants in our programs. It's our hope they'll join us here in the community, but in whatever community they may end up in their future endeavors. We hope that they always know that this community cared about them, and that we hope that we have helped to nurture and lead them as they find a place for them in the future, but there'll always also be a place for them here. We encourage them to participate in many activities, as we've mentioned, the Youth Council, other things that go on in the community, volunteer opportunities, just get out there and get involved. Again, this is your opportunity to take a part in your community, also to learn about different opportunities. I think that these institutes are a great way for you guys to get a hands-on chance to have an idea of what types of careers you might be interested in the future that you don't get to experience in other ways sometimes. So definitely check out those opportunities. And this is the 20th anniversary of the Sturgeon City Institutes. So they've taken part in a very special edition of this program. And it needs to be acknowledged for the 20 years of support that has been provided for this by the mayor and city council in providing the funding, the inspiration, and the implementation of these institutes. I hope that you will help voice your appreciation of these institutes to the mayor and council, as well as leadership of the city, if you have opportunities to interact with them. So too has been the support by the Onslow County Schools. For 20 years, the schools have been very involved in the implementation of these institutes, as well as providing inspiration and support services, helping provide a lot of our staff who are Onslow County school teachers, as they've made testament to today, and also providing space. We have happily worked out of Newbridge Middle School all week this week, as well as other facilities, but they are so grateful as to open their doors during their summer months for us. And next year, I hope that you'll be able to join us again, as we're hopeful that this program may be taking place in our new Sturgeon City Environmental Education Center. So for now, we send forth this 20th iteration of the institutes with hope that they will inspire others with their knowledge and their power. And therefore, with all the participants acknowledged, with a review of the work of the institutes, and with documentation made available, I therefore declare the 2018 Sturgeon City Institutes adjourned.